Some are telling Donald Trump to stay away from attacking Hillary on her husband's infidelity, but others saying it's fair game. He said this to a CNN reporter after the debate earlier this week when asked about this topic.
You didn't mention Bill Clinton and his past affairs. You may do this in a second debate?
Well, she was very nasty to me, and I was going to do it, and I saw Chelsea sitting out in the audience, and I just didn't want to go there. I thought it would be too disrespectful. I just didn't want to do it. But she was very nasty. We'll see what happens, but I just didn't want to put it there. It's a hard thing to say in front of somebody's daughter.
If it does come up, though, in the next debate, do you think maybe your past marital history is also fair game?
I guess. I mean, they can do, but it's a lot different than his, that I can tell you. I mean, we have a situation where we have a president who was a disaster, and he was ultimately impeached over it, in a sense, for lying. And so we'll see whether or not we discuss it.
You're not worried about your past history at all?
No, not at all. I have a very good history.
So, should Mr. Trump start hitting Hillary on the long line of women who are left in the Clintons' dust? What really is the smartest strategy for Trump going forward? Here to discuss is former White House advisor and the author of the brand new Red is the New Black, How Women Can Fashion a More Powerful America. Cathy Lynn Taylor, good to see you. Good to have you on America Trends.
Great to be here with you, Gina. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Now, Cathy, Trump is at a decision point here. He truly is. He's got to either maintain that high road, which may or may not have served him well. The new numbers out of Fox today, they were skewed a little to the Democrats, but they didn't look good after the debate. It looked like he was dropping a little bit in the polls, arguably at least. Should he attack Hillary on her treatment of Bill's women?
The thing with Trump is that when he's Trump, he does the best. There's no doubt about it. But people are at the same time looking for this presidential quality. And people, women and all Americans, are looking for a strong, charismatic leader. The most beloved presidents all have those qualities. So he does have to be stronger. But I think it's stronger in terms of what may have been a few missed opportunities that he can capitalize on in the next debate. I don't think he has to get that personal. I think he can be very, very strong and stay on policy points because hers are terrible in terms of their impact for American citizens and their results. However, I say that with one caveat. If she brings Bill up, for instance, as she did as her best defense to how she would handle the economy, well, my husband did okay, then it is fair game for Donald Trump to go after her husband. If you are running for president of the United States, I don't care if you're a male or a female, and your best defense, your best accolade is your spouse, then move over.
Yeah, exactly. This week, a lot of media attention was given to this Alicia Machado, and in fact, we've talked about it here today on the show. Some advise that Mr. Trump should not be giving any attention, any credence to this story because that it was playing into Hillary's web, so to speak. What would your advice be to Mr. Trump?
As we get to these final weeks and he's gained so much ground, you say the polls were a little bit skewed here towards the Democrats or skewed there, but when we look at the amount of ground he has made up in just weeks and only a few more weeks left, I'd say stay as presidential as possible. And here's why. Having been in the White House myself and having had the privilege of serving there, one of the things that you learn and that you observe is that there are certain things that rise to the level of the presidency, and there are certain things that do not. This is where President Obama has failed so miserably, commenting on things like candidates and not then going and commenting on other things that are extremely presidential, like terrorist attacks.
Right.
If Mr. Trump can show that he understands that nuance, that difference, as he gets closer and closer to that leadership position, I think it will serve him well. It doesn't mean he can't be himself, doesn't mean he can't go hard, but there is that fine line, and I think if he walks that tightrope, he'll do well.
You make a great point, though, about being presidential. He tweeted throughout the night. I'm not sure if you saw those tweets,
Yes,
but if
I did.
you, okay, was that presidential, or would you recommend against those?
Well, that is very Donald Trump. And look, his supporters love it. And for all the you should do this or you should do that that he hears that we may offer him, the reality is he is engaging with America in a way that has been impossible to predict. And, I say this, politicians with their bullet points, with their paragraphs, terrific. But you know what? Donald Trump with his dinner table conversation seems to really be winning the minds and hearts. So I think it's okay for him to be him. him at 3 in the morning may not be as effective as him at 8 at night. And so that's maybe what I would encourage him to think about.
As the author of someone who has written a definitive book really on how women can be more effective in the political arena, your new book is called Red is the New Black. I really want to ask you this question. Trump is losing in many categories with women specifically, but the one category where he's winning substantially I find fascinating, and that is with married women. Now, Hillary Clinton is a married woman. You'd think that married women would be a given for her. Why is Hillary Clinton losing with those who should be able to most identify with her?
Well, and you have such a great background for this yourself, Gina, so I agree. I am also fascinated by it. But, it's really very simple. For too long, conservatives, and it's our fault, and we have to be a little bit contrite about it, we have handed the woman message to the Democrats. We have let them lead with that. And it's time for that to stop, because as I explain in my book, if you stop fighting about policies and you look at finding some common ground, there are values that unite great women today. Personal accountability, financial independence, personal strength, diplomacy. These are qualities that every smart, successful, savvy woman I know has and possesses. And they're also qualities that most Americans, really all Americans, can possess. And that's so important. And when we focus on the values, then it's much easier to get to agreement on the policies. And if you look at the policies over time, as I do in my book, and you see the policies that best empower these kind of values, the same values that were the bedrock of building this country, by the way, they're more conservative in nature, and they're Republican presidents who put them in place. And I think women are really wising up. Despite how Democrats have been at that message, and I'll give them that, women are wising up, because when we see 2 million of ourselves, 2 million women over the last 8 years under Obama fall into poverty, when we see 50% of our children going into public school, or who are in public schools, living in poverty, that's not a third world nation. It's America. Who could believe it? Who would ever think, right?
Exactly.
When we see women over the last 8 years losing jobs at a rate 12 times faster than that of men, then women know there's something wrong. Hillary can talk about women and the glass ceiling all day long, but the proof has to be in the policies, and the policies that have better empowered women, surprisingly for many, are those of conservatism. And so I think women are starting to wise up, and married women are running households. 40% of them are the breadwinners. And I think they're starting to look at their wallets, starting to look at America's wallet. They're starting to look at their schools and their choices, and they're starting to look at the security situation, and they're saying, I'm not sure Hillary Clinton can deliver any better than she has over the last 30, 40 years.
And which is the precise reason why they need to go get your brand new book. It's called Red is the New Black, How Women Can Fashion a More Powerful America. I've been in the green room a lot with this woman. I can tell you she is a total class act. So I hope that you'll go get her book right now. Cathy Lynn Taylor, thank you so much. Best of luck with your book. And thank you just for writing it and for being on the show today.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. Just
All
so
right.
much fun and great to be with you.
Absolutely. My pleasure.